I'd like to start this video with a question to you artists. Why are you releasing music? And why are you posting content around that music? Now, the context behind the reason asking that question is if you have got caught up a little bit in trying to just post content to go viral or to create some sort of trend or to jump on a trend, if that's the main reason you're posting content, then actually it's unlikely over time that you will grow an engaged and enthusiastic and championing community of fans. If actually it's because you want to build that aforementioned community of fans and you want to communicate your art and your vision and your message, well, that has got a lot more chance of really kind of moving forward and growing an engaged and enthusiastic and driven and powerful and loyal army of community members of your art, if you will. Now, I understand totally, like social media in particular has really encouraged us, if not manipulated us, into having instant gratification, and therefore as creators trying to post content that always just grabs attention with the hope that it goes viral, which is great. That's important as part of the strategy. But if that's your only strategy, it makes it so hard to transition those people who are your audience of the viral videos into an actual fan. Now, I want to talk a little bit on that basis through what the journey for most users and most people who are happening upon you from either random content or randomly find you through your content or any of the DSPs like Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, those sorts of platforms. So I think it's important to remember that just because someone sees a piece of content does not make them a fan. Just because someone follows you does not make them a fan. And actually those two measures or those two insights can be quite misleading for many artists. Because you kind of think, oh look, I've got all this activity, then surely there must be a fan base here. And actually, no, there's not. Your content or that one piece of content is just really useful for them in passing the time away, being distracted, which is what lots of users are on social media for. So it's really about, let's think about what your actual goal is and how your content and how your music over time will deliver on that goal of a fan base. So actually let's think about the psychological journey of an audience member, of a user of those platforms. So they might start off as audience, and an audience is just how you've kind of cast your net. So they might have discovered you, as I said, through the DSPs or through social media content. But that's just an audience. They're not anything other than just kind of another number on a view or a like. It's not tangible enough to therefore extrapolate out that they are going to be a fan. Not yet. So from an audience, you need to consider, right, I'm capturing people. How am I then turning them into a follower? Which is kind of the next psychological part of the journey, which, as it says, is either a follower on Spotify or other platforms or on social. So that's the first kind of transition. And they're into you here. They're showing interest, that they want to find out more about you. They want to be notified, in some cases, quite literally, of the next part of content, the next expression of you that you're putting out. So they're followers. Now, you then need to think about, how do I turn these followers into listeners? And a listener is someone who actively seeks out your music or your artistic presentation of your music. So it might be not necessarily a music video per se, but like video that's embedded with your music, twinned with your music. They're still engaging in your art. So that's a listener. They're actively seeking out and listening to your music, which is great. That's a great next stage. But they're still not necessarily a fan or a community member or a customer at this stage. So then from listener, we look to try to build and convert, if you will, or migrate those people onto champions. Now, champions are people who start sharing your content and sharing your music. And it might be quite passive. They might not write a message about it yet, but they're at least engaging in wanting to share their interest. It's not love yet. I mean, in some cases it might be, but generally it's not love your music or love your art. It's just liking it. It's like, there's something here. So they start to share the odd piece of content and the odd song here and there. And then from there, when that starts to move towards they're connecting with you, they're commenting, they're DMing you, they're really starting to kind of want to find out about you, the psychological journey. They want more information on you in a healthy way, I hope, a good healthy way. Well, that's a fan. That's how we define fan now. Because I think fan has actually evolved. It's not just someone who is fanatic about you and might come to the odd show. No, that's not there yet. From fans, we need to convert them into a community member. Now, a community member of your artistic community, your artistic proposition, your message, your vision. You want people who are really engaging in what you have to say, how you have to say it, the mechanism of you presenting your art, all those beautiful things. Now, community member is someone who you are giving value to for no real ulterior motive. I mean, okay, in the back of your mind, you want this journey, but it's you giving value to them because they're showing interest in you. It's a true engagement, and it's an important part of this transitional, migrational process of audience member into customer, really, community member, customer. And that's the last bit. Once you've got that community, you're not really asking them to do anything. You're just involving them more and more in your world and engaging with them, as I mentioned. Well, the next kind of movement from community is customer. And I really understand that can be quite a dirty word sometimes for some artists. You don't want customers. But actually, a customer is a transactional part of your community. They will start buying gig tickets, show tickets. They'll start buying tour tickets. They'll buy your merch. When they start sharing your content, it will be the content that might be buy a ticket to your show. Again, it's promoting you to their friends, family, and people they're networked and connected with through their socials, but trying to encourage a monetary transaction. Part of what you need to think about a revenue stream. So this is an important part of this psychological process of turning audience into customer. And intrinsic to this process, this journey, is self-awareness, is to ask yourself, is the content that you are posting, is it to swell your numbers, or is it so that you can meaningfully build connections and engagement with a growing and engaged audience, follower, listener, champion, fan, community, customer? The answer, however you answer that question, will determine whether you have longevity in your career or whether you might just be a flash in the pan, a moment of trending, one or two viral videos. That really is the basis of considering how you want to connect with people, how long you wish your career to be, and how useful and how effective your strategy and plan of content creation is. And if we go back to the first question at the start of this video, if you've answered the build attention, the short term, that's fair enough. But if you also marry that with an expectation of having a big fan base, you're likely to be disappointed. If you're starting to understand a little bit more that content isn't just about trying to go viral, but it's a communication of your art and allowing people to come along on your journey allow them to move through that progress chart of audience, follower, listener, champion, fan, community, customer, then you really do have a chance of having longevity in your career and building a meaningful, exciting, explosive, supportive, wonderful career as an artist.